Okay, welcome to the Everest Funeral Concierge webinar. This is for all my clients that have the Everest package. Now, a few of you have purchased it separately, but for the most part, most of you got it as a bonus value add with your Ivari life insurance. So, this is a great service, and I just want to make sure that you guys are familiar with how to access it, how to take advantage of it. With all, because it really is end of life, um, you know, concierge service, but you've got to do the planning in advance to really get the most out of it. And since most of you are getting this as a value add, as a bonus, as a free feature, really just, there's no reason why not to take advantage of it. Okay. So, I'm just going to walk you through the website. I'm just going to navigate for you. I'll take you in behind the scenes and just get you familiar with what to do, what the features are, how you will utilize them, and that kind of thing. Okay. So, first of all, the website is everestfuneral.ca. You just want to make sure over here that you're on the Canada site, and then simply going to log in. Okay, and if you've never logged in before, you're going to set up your first time user, and you'll need your enrollment code, which came in your Everest package. For me, I'm just going to log in here. Okay, so this is what it looks like when you log in. Okay, so you can see here's kind of all the places that you'll look at. So about Everest, right? Who we are, the Everest team, working with Everest, news, that kind of thing. Just who we are, what we do. And I'll let you guys read that on your own time, because, I just want to navigate for you. But what they do is they offer a suite of planning and management services combined with industry-leading tools that help control costs, rapidly secure insurance proceeds, and make sure the proceeds process goes smoothly. Sorry. So, I actually had to use this with a family member that passed away, and um, I can tell you it was very, very helpful. Like an hour after my grandfather passed away, I was on the phone with Everest, and the gentleman was just great. They're available 24/7, and you just tell them what they want. They do all the research. I said, you know what, get me, you know, the best rates for cremation within a 10-kilometer radius. Tell me whatever venues are available in 2 days. We wanted to have the service within 2 days. So, the expert advisor on the Everest team, you call them at the time, and they're like your personal assistant. They're doing all the research for you, coming back with the top options, and then, you just have to make the final decision, which, for me, it really gave me the ability to be with my family at that time, right? Rather than sitting on the computer or, making multiple phone calls trying to figure things out, I was really with my family. And then I'd get a call or an email from the gentleman, I can't remember his name, but he would call me and say, okay, I've got this for you. What do you want to do? I make a decision, 2 minutes, phone call with him, and then I'm back with my family again. And so we're able to, um, have everything organized in a very short period of time, and we had the service 48 hours after my grandfather passed away. So that's my personal story of, the expert advisors that are available 24/7, just to help you through the process. Do you need flowers? Do you need catering? Just what do you need and what's available around you, right? And they just do all the researching for you. So money in as little as 2 days. So what's really cool is with Ivari, um, with the Everest Ivari partnership, Ivari will pay out 20,000 of your coverage within 48 hours. So to make sure that you're able to take care of funeral costs and that kind of thing right away. So, the minimum coverage to get this Everest package with your Ivari plan is 100,000. So if you had $100,000 coverage, your family would get the first 20,000 within 48 hours, and the remaining 80,000 they would get within the normal time period, which is about 30 days. Okay, and peace of mind, right? So when I'm on the phone with the expert advisor from Everest, he's an independent consumer advocate. So, he's not affiliated with a particular funeral home or a particular venue or other business. He literally is, or she literally is like a personal assistant working for me, doing the work for me so that all I need to do is make a final decision, right? So that's in a nutshell what Everest does at the time of someone passing. Now, what they also do, let's go back here. So that's about Everest. Now the services. Oh, sorry. So they have this thing called Price Finder. So you can put in like your location, primary location, secondary location, and it'll come up with all the prices for you, right? So it'll search within a specific kilometer radius, and it'll give you the ability to compare and do different things. Okay, but really what the work for you to do in advance is over here: planning tools, will prep, and tensing. So this is all the pre-planning so that when you do pass away, everything's really easy on your family. They're able to access, your paperwork where they need to, your passwords where they need to, your insurance documents, like you name it, right? So, this is obviously my profile, and I'll just share with you, um, kind of what it is. So when you go to the planning tools, here's what you're going to work through. So your personal history. So um, personal history, let me see, what is that again? Ba, ba, ba. Right, so you're going to go through, it's going to walk you through a series of questions, and you create your Everest profile, your personal information, your family information, and then your personal history, like if you wanted to add a bio of yourself, um, things of that nature. And then if you were in the military, because anybody that's in the military, there's a whole bunch of other benefits that are available to them. So you want to put the military information there as well, so your family has it when they need it. Okay, so this is just, information that your family would need. And then, so that's personal history. And now this is my account. Actually, Carlos doesn't have the Everest package, but as my husband, when I put him in as my husband, they created a profile for him so that he can also add his personal history, his decisions, everything like that. And it'll tell you what's complete. So you see like what I've done and what I haven't done, right? So next thing is the 10 key decision planner. So this is really like, what is the plan that you want, right? So you can see here your preferences. Do you prefer burial or cremation? If you chose cremation, do you have a location for the ashes? If you have a funeral memorial service, do you have what are your preferences? Where do you want the service to be? How do you want it to go? Do you want a viewing? Do you don't want a viewing? Do you want visitation? How do you want the visitation to go? What are your preferences around embalming? What are your preferences around a casket container? Some people, they buy in advance um, a casket from Costco, right? So it's a matter of like, okay, well, you got to put all that information in there. Like, where does your family find it when they need it, right? And this really just all the decisions. So rather than somebody, so outer burial container, a gathering, a reception, an obituary, if you want donations to be made, if you have any special requests, like if you want certain pictures to be used, you can upload those pictures right in here. If you want certain music to be played, you can make those requests right in here. So, at the time, you really can plan exactly how you want it to be. If you want a celebration of life, you tell people, you're telling your family in advance, or sorry, you're creating in advance and you're telling them at the time exactly how you want them to send you off, right? So rather than, after the fact, someone else is making the decisions and like they don't know what to do, like how do we honor this person? What would they have wanted? Um, you just took care of all of that by answering these questions, right, in advance. And you tell them exactly, how to honor you is just to follow exactly what you requested on this um, step-by-step process right here. Okay. And then you have my wishes planning guide. So again, so it's just kind of like more details, right? So it's just kind of going deeper into the 10 key decision maker that we just went through. That's like just getting down like what are your preferences. Now we're going to go into more detail, right? So exactly what the burial and cremation look like, exactly what the funeral products are going to be. Like if you've got an urn, like where is it? What is, everything like that. Like what stationery, you even choose a stationery if you want to, right? So you're really just going through all of the very specific details. Now you can see that I skipped a lot of this because I personally am not thinking that far ahead yet. At this point in my life, I wouldn't care to make these decisions. Later on, for sure, I might. And, it's really up to you what you want to fill in and what you want to skip. But at the very least, it'll point your family in the right direction. So here's where the personalization is. So this is where, visual tributes, inspirational releases, inspirational ceremonies, other tributes, you got music preference, music selections, type of musicians, all that kind of stuff, right? Do you have an officiant, a eulogy, readings, poems, verses, parables, floral arrangements? Like you literally get to have your say with every single detail, right? What do you want to, if you're doing a burial, you choose your like clothing and jewelry if you want to, right? So you can go as detailed as you want or as high level as you want. You can see here I've skipped a lot of them. So at this point in time, I've just kept it very high level for myself. And later on, I'll go back and complete the rest of the details. All right. Um, but the nice thing is that it just takes you through step by step, and you don't have to think about, well, what are all the things, what are all the decisions that would need to be made? Because Everest is just going to like has them all in a step by step, and they're asking you the questions, and then you're making a choice. So, then you also become aware of what all the decisions that have to be made are. And so, oftentimes this will open up a conversation with other family members, especially parents, grandparents, and what have you. It's, like I asked my grandparents when I first bought this for myself like 5 years ago. I said, well, hey, I'm an executor and like I have no idea, like what would you guys want, right? And you know and what they would want, what they wanted was would very different than what I would have done had they not told me. And so it gave me a lot of peace of mind when my grandfather passed away, to plan it exactly how he wanted it, right? Because I had to do that on my own, not knowing what he wanted, and then not having Everest, assistant 24-hour advisor at the time, I would have come up with something very different. I would have spent a heck of a lot more money, and it wouldn't have been what my grandfather wanted. So it just makes things a heck of a lot easier for your family. Okay, and there's some resources over here. So you've got a reference guide, so all about funerals as well as a glossary of terms. So as you're going through this, you might be like, what the heck does that mean? You can download this glossary in advance. You've got your remember booklet. So this is a helpful list that guides you through the decisions. And 10 things your funeral director won't tell you. So unfortunately, the funeral business is like a money factory. And, it's not always the most honest place. And when you're there making funeral arrangements, when somebody that you love has just passed away, you're often misled into buying things that you don't need, and services that are like really just quite unnecessary, um, or overpaying for something. The first quote that we got for the cremation was like 9,000, and then a funeral home down the street was like 2,500, like such a huge difference. And the first one we talked to, they were like really just like kind of pushy, and I'm like, okay, that's a lot of money, right, for what's being provided. And it just seemed really high. And there was just no reason for it to be so high. And anyway, so this will just kind of go through for you what those things are, so that if you're ever in this situation for yourself, taking care of somebody else's funeral, you're not getting duped, right? And then what to tell your friends and family. Okay, so this is like really the funeral planning section. And then you've got the will prep. So the will prep, it's got so available legal documents. You've got a will, and now it's like a will template. So it's going to take you through step by step, like asking you questions. If this, then what would you want? If that, then what would you want? Um, and then based on your answers, it takes your answers and puts it into the will, right? So it's done in such a way that like you're not there trying to write the will. It's in a more natural way that you would be asked a question and be able to answer a question, given that you're not a lawyer or you're not an estate lawyer, right? So it's super user friendly. And if you don't do anything else, like planning your funeral in advance and making all the decisions, you might not be ready for that kind of thing yet. But doing the templated will, I highly advise that you do that ASAP. Okay. And then there's the power of attorney. So um, if you wanted to have a power of attorney, whether on the financial side or on the healthcare side, so healthcare directive is the power of attorney for health, and then there's another power of attorney, which is this one, which is power of attorney for financial decisions. So that's for when you are alive. Excuse me, I just sore throat. When you're alive, if something happens to you where you're not able, like you're not all there anymore, you're not able to physically or mentally make financial or healthcare decisions, who would you give the right to make those decisions on your behalf? So that's an important thing to um, elect up front as well, because knock on wood, God forbid, should that ever happen, should you ever be in that kind of a situation, if you don't have a power of attorney or a healthcare directive, um, sometimes like, decisions just don't get made, or sometimes you've got somebody that, maybe doesn't know you as well. making the decision, you know, and um, it's just really more beneficial to have somebody that you know and trust, and like you're choosing them up front, that they can make the decisions for you, rather than it being like the default decision that's being made on your behalf, or the default person that gets to make decisions on your behalf. Okay, so um, before you get started, you just want to consider, like, what property you're going to be including in your will. Because you can go as detailed down to like the jewelry in your house and like your personal belongings, or you can keep it higher level, like your house and your car and that kind of thing, your kids. Um, so who's going to inherit that property? And if you have children under 18, like who's going to be the guardian to raise your children? Okay. Should something happen, before they're of legal age? And, who's going to be the executor of your will? Who's going to, have the authority to carry out your will with a lawyer? Um, and select impartial witnesses who are unrelated to the beneficiaries and executor. I don't know what that means, so that you'll just have to go through step by step, and it'll ask you the questions in an easy way, anyways. Um, and then if there's more that you want to express in writing, like how to distribute specific items, you can write your wishes in a letter and you can attach that to your will. And then you just want to review it every few years, or after there's any major life event, such as birth, death, divorce, or marriage as well. Okay. So the cool thing is that all these documents are going to be stored inside your Everest um, portal, we'll call it, right? So like you log in, your Everest portal here. Um, you choose a beneficiary that's going to receive all this information when you pass away. So, they'll be Everest will give them a copy of everything that you documented under the planning tools. Give them a copy of the will, right? So Everest will give them a copy of all these things. And then they'll also get a copy of the Tenzing. So Tenzing is really cool. So I haven't started this one yet. There's a video here, you can like see what is Tenzing, but I'll share with you briefly what it is. It's a personal storage vault. So it's so secure, okay? And it's got, answers that question for you here, how secure is it? Okay? But really it's like a cloud service where, you can upload documents there, you can put all your passwords there. Like surely when you pass away, somebody's got to pay, your final cell phone bill. Somebody's got to, just, you know, close your Facebook profile, maybe, like, just a million little things. And so this is somewhere that you can upload all your passwords that somebody would need access to. And you can upload any documents that somebody would need access to. So you can really make things simple, have everything all in one place. Um, and then you select your designee. So, everything that you upload in Tenzing, who is going to get that information when you pass away. And then you store all your information there, right? So, really you've got kind of like, you break it down three ways. So somebody's going to get, um, everything you've stored in Tenzing. It could be the same person. It might be different than the executor of your will. Whoever's the executor of your will is going to get a copy of that will. And then, whoever you named as the designee under the planning tools, they would get a copy of all that. So, it could be all three the same person getting a copy of all of it, or it could be three different people, right? So, this person's going to plan the funeral, but that person's going to take care of, you know, everything to do with the will, and then this person is going to manage all my online accounts and all the paperwork, and they need a copy of everything that's stored online, for example, right? So um, that's kind of it in a nutshell. Really, like, I'm not an Everest expert, okay? So the intention is really just to show you a little bit behind the scenes, get you familiar, show you what the benefits are, and really just to have you know what's available so that you could start right away if this is something that is on the back of your mind and you're wondering how to start, or you're like you have this Everest thing and you never looked into it, so you have no idea what's included in it. Now you have an idea what's included in it, and you can just go in there and do it as update it as frequently as you want, start it whenever you feel like you're ready to start. But there's tons of tools right here on the website, so even when you are here on the will prep, what is will prep? Okay, so you can play that video, right? And then it's got, without a will, your estate is distributed according to the law. This can be complex, time consuming, and require your family to hire a lawyer. And more than 55% of adults do not have a will. I remember one of the reasons that I got this Everest plan, um, I was working out of an office in Richmond Hill at the time, and one of the other advisors in the office, his father had passed away 5 years earlier without a will, and he had, like, not a whole lot, but he had, enough assets that it was worth people fighting over. So, this guy, his father passed away without the will. Um, he had cousins that he hadn't talked to in like 30 years, taking a flight from Jamaica, up to Canada to be in the court and like fighting for, what was in his father's estate, right? A portion of the house, a portion of that. And, um, like really that's just what happens when you don't have a will in place. Like, a judge has to sit and hear everybody. And so, it took about 6 years for that whole process to complete. And, if he had just had a will in place, um, that would have shaved off probably 5 years, right? It still takes some time to go through the whole process, but it probably would have shaved off about 5 years and, a whole lot of family drama, and the courts deciding how things are divvied up instead of you getting to say, you know, what happens with this with your stuff. Like you work all your lifetime, you acquire assets, you acquire different things, and you ought to be the one who chooses what happens, once you're gone. So, it's really cool because most of you, like I say, got this package as a value add, as a bonus. So really just take advantage of it, right? You've got everything you need here. And really, really, if I could stress anything, if you only do one thing in the next week from this webinar, it's to get started on your will. Okay? If you don't want to touch the funeral stuff, if you don't want to touch the Tenzing stuff right now, that's fine. But at the very least, get started with your will. It's very easy. They just walk you through step by step, asking you questions. Um, and you update it as frequently as you want to. But God forbid, should anything happen, knock on wood, that's there, right? Okay, so that's about it. I don't have much more to go through. And from here, I guess it's really just, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. However, like I said, I'm not an expert. So, while you're welcome to reach out to me, your best place is really to look on the website because they've got a ton of resources. If on any page, if you look on the right-hand side, it's going to tell you, right, what is the price finder report, and you play the video, and then you can view a sample report, right? Under all the tabs, it's got these tutorials, it's got this, it's got all your answers there. And then you've got your FAQs as well, right? So what is Everest? What's a concierge service? What happens, near time of death? So I kind of went through that with you, and then there's a lot more. So I'll leave that for you to go through on your own and answer any additional questions you have. Like I said, you're welcome to reach out to me. However, uh, most of your answers, all of your answers should be here on the website. And, um, I'm a consumer of this product just like you guys. So, and I'm human. Like you can see from my profile, I have not gone through the whole thing. Um, so while you're welcome to call me, really honestly, you're welcome to call me, but I may not have the answers for you. So I do request that you check here first. And then if I don't know the answer, I'm either going to refer you back to the website, or you can call Everest, this 1-800 number right up here, and you can ask them anything that you need to. They're in Mississauga, and they pick up um, almost immediately, I would say. I called today and I think I was on hold for like 24 seconds or something. It was very fast. Okay, so that is it. Are there any questions? Okay. Well, if there's no questions, then I'm going to stop the recording. And for anyone that wasn't here tonight, you're going to get the recording um, via YouTube, and feel free to watch it as many times as you want. I'll leave it up there. Okay, I'm not going to take it down. Pardon me?
Thank you, Willow.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Yeah, so I'll leave the recording up there on YouTube. So feel free to access it as often as you want. And really, everything's here on the website. So, just dive in, get started, and, you don't have to do it all at once. You can pick away at it over time as you see, like I've done. Um, but really just take advantage of it because it is such an incredible tool. And, you got it as a gift from Ivari. So, most of you, right? Um, so just make sure you take advantage of it. Okay. All right, so that's it. Thank you for being here. Have a wonderful evening. And if there's anything that I can do to support you, um, not just with Everest but with anything else, you know always feel free to call me. um, if you think of any friends, family members, coworkers, anybody, as we're going through this, if you thought of anybody came to mind, oh, that person could really use this, or that would be really beneficial. um, my business is built on referral, so definitely feel free to connect us. Or the easiest way to connect us is just to send me their contact information, let them know I'm calling, and if they want to get together, then we'll do that. Okay. Um, yeah, so that's about it. I think I've said enough times. So have yourself a great evening, and we'll see you all on the top.
Woohoo! Thank you.
You're welcome.